Okay, so what if we told you about someone from the Middle Ages? A visionary, a composer, a healer, even a mystic. Someone whose ideas, almost 1,000 years later, still feel, well, incredibly relevant today. Get ready, because we're exploring the pretty extraordinary life and the timeless teachings of Hildegard of Bingen. She's often called the Sibyl of the Rhine. And this isn't just a history lesson, it's really an invitation to rediscover some potent ideas for how we live now. So our mission today is basically to unpack who Hildegard really was. We want to explore her most surprising, her most impactful concepts, and figure out why her message still matters, why it matters so deeply to you, especially now in a world that seems to be craving connection, creating clarity. We're basing this deep dive on a really fantastic overview of her life and work. It's well-structured, packed with insights we're quite excited to share. Okay, let's unpack this, right? Let's set the scene for Hildegard. She was born way back in 1098 in Germany, and she was dedicated to the church basically as a tithe, the 10th child given to God from a very, very young age. Mm-hmm. She joined a Benedictine monastery, eventually became an abbess. Now just think about that for a second. We often picture the Middle Ages as, well, pretty dark and restrictive, right? Especially for women.
Definitely. That's the common image.
Yeah, but Hildegard, she didn't just survive in that time. She absolutely thrived. She lived this life of just extraordinary creativity, intellectual power, and deep spirituality. It completely flips that stereotype on its head, doesn't it?
It really does. And her experiences were quite unique, even for her time. From when she was just a child, she had these experiences. Mm. She described them as vivid, luminous visions, like intense bursts of light-colored divine messages, she said. They seem to sort of bypass her normal senses and speak right to her soul.
Wow.
But what's truly remarkable, I think, isn't just that she had these profound experiences. It's what she did with them. She didn't keep them private. I mean, actually, for a long time, she tried to suppress them. She was afraid people would judge her.
Understandable.
Yeah. But eventually, she felt this divine command, and her confessor encouraged her too. So she started meticulously documenting them, interpreting them. Yeah. She turned these, deeply internal experiences into tangible, transformative works for the world.
And when you say tangible works, you mean just about everything, right? It's almost astonishing how many roles she stepped into.
It really
She wasn't just a nun. She was a theologian, digging into deep spiritual questions, a natural scientist, observing and writing about the world with incredible detail, a composer making these ethereal, almost otherworldly chants people still perform today, a poet. Her verses had this profound beauty, an herbalist who understood plants, way before modern medicine caught up.
Centuries before, yeah.
And even a powerful reformer. What do you think allowed her, as a woman back then, to not only do all this, but also get such wide recognition across so many different fields?
That's a great question. And I think it points to her very unique blend of spiritual authority and just sheer intellect. Her visions, which started as this personal struggle, actually became her ultimate source of legitimacy.
Oh.
When she finally started writing them down, people saw them as divinely inspired. That gave her a kind of spiritual authority that, it just transcended the usual limits placed on women.
Right.
So this spiritual standing, combined with her, frankly, innate genius and formidable communication skills, it allowed her to command respect. She wasn't just creating things. She was synthesizing huge amounts of knowledge and presenting it all as divine truth.
Powerful.
Incredibly. It gave her this unparalleled platform. It let her correspond with and sometimes even admonish really powerful people, popes, emperors, kings. She was basically operating with an authority that few women, maybe no other women of her era, could even dream of.
That's truly fascinating. This idea that her visions were both deeply personal, but also became this kind of public mandate for her. And it dry or arid. That's evocative.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's this powerful reminder that our well-being, our whole sense of aliveness is intrinsically linked to this inner greenness, this vitality.
That's such a beautiful concept, this greening power. So if Viriditas is this deep inner vitality, how radical was it for her to then connect it so directly to our physical health? Especially back then, when the body was often seen as something, separate from the soul, maybe even less important.
Oh, it was incredibly radical for her time.
Yeah.
Unlike many of her contemporaries who might have focused on asceticism or seen the body as just a vessel of sin that needed discipline.
Right, the sort of hair shirt approach.
Exactly. Hildegard insisted on the unity of body, mind, and spirit. She firmly believed the physical and the spiritual weren't separate at all, but deeply intertwined. and that true spiritual health couldn't really exist without physical well-being, too.
So mind-body connection, basically.
Absolutely. Centuries before we started talking about it in those terms. She taught that caring for the body through good food, herbs, balance in your lifestyle was actually an essential part of honoring the divine spark within us. She was essentially, foreshadowing modern holistic medicine. Her big medical writings like Physica and Cause et Cure weren't just abstract ideas. They had incredibly practical advice. Specific remedies, the healing properties of plants, the importance of diet, even hygiene.
Wow. So she's seeing this Viriditas, this greening power in the plants, and then applying it directly to how we should care for our bodies. But her vision didn't stop at just individual health, did it? She saw this interconnectedness on a much, much bigger scale, right? A cosmic scale.
Precisely. Yeah, this integrated view, it extended to her understanding of the entire universe. For Hildegard, the cosmos wasn't chaotic. It was like a grand, meticulously composed symphony.
A symphony.
Yes. Everything connected in divine order. Every part playing its role in this harmonious whole. And this wasn't just a nice metaphor for her. It was a fundamental worldview. It informed everything she did, her healing, her music, even her critiques of society. She believed that disharmony in one part of creation, whether it was, ecological imbalance or injustice in human society, it would echo throughout the whole system.
So ripples in a pond kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. And how did she experience this? How did she try to convey this cosmic harmony?
Well, she used music itself as a sacred tool. Her chants, those ethereal pieces collected in works like Symphonia, they weren't just art for art's sake. They were spiritual practices, composed very carefully to help lift the soul, to resonate with that divine order, and bring the listener closer to the creator. Her vision of a harmonized cosmos, that's really compelling. Did this deep sense of divine order also kind of fuel her more, let's say, earthly activities, like her willingness to challenge the powerful people of her day? Because she wasn't exactly known for being quiet, was she?
No, not at all. Quiet was not her style when it came to injustice. Her profound spiritual conviction, her understanding of this cosmic harmony, it directly fueled her remarkable courage. She saw any deviation from divine order like corruption in the church or injustice in the world as a disruption of that sacred symphony we talked about.
Ah, okay. So it wasn't just wrong, it was musically out of tune, cosmically speaking.
You could say that. And despite living in a time when women's voices were so often just silenced or ignored or dismissed, Hildegard showed incredible fearlessness. Just amazing. She did not hesitate to write letters. Letters to kings, bishops, even the Pope himself.
Wow.
And in these letters, she wasn't just offering gentle advice. Oh, no. She often admonished them, really urged them to act with justice, with humility, to remember their divine responsibilities. She called them out directly, sometimes in pretty scathing terms, for their moral failures or neglecting their duties.
That's just astonishing. What gave her that kind of nerve? I mean, the authority to speak like that to the most powerful men in Europe, when so many other women wouldn't even have dared to think it.
Well, again, it really comes back to her visions. She genuinely, profoundly believed these messages were coming from God, not from her own ego or ambition.
Right. It wasn't just Hildegard talking.
Exactly. So when she spoke or wrote, she felt she was acting as a conduit for the divine, not just as Hildegard the abbess or Hildegard the woman. And this conviction, it gave her this unshakable inner strength. She wasn't looking for personal power. She was exercising what she saw as a spiritual mandate, a responsibility. Her willingness to speak truth to power, to command respect and attention in such a deeply patriarchal society. It offers the truly powerful message that still resonates today, doesn't it? Especially with modern struggles for equality and justice. Her voice just cut through the noise of her era. And it continues to inspire people who want to challenge injustice today. And just circling back quickly to those visions, it's really crucial to understand they weren't just random dreams or, fleeting thoughts for her. Hildegard deeply believed they were divine messages meant for the world, not just for her private reflection. She took her role as a visionary, as an interpreter, incredibly seriously.
She felt a duty to share them.
Completely. She meticulously described them in her great works, especially Civius, which means know the ways.
Yeah.
And in this huge monumental work, she didn't just recount what she saw. She blended deep theology, intricate philosophy, and these dazzling, vivid images to convey the divine insights. She built a whole comprehensive theological system around them. Her commitment to sharing this wisdom, to sort of translating the ineffable into forms that others could learn from, it was absolute. She wasn't just passively receiving, she was actively teaching.
Okay, so bringing it all together, what does this all mean for you listening today? I mean, In our current age, which often feels full of disconnection, right? Information overload, feeling fragmented, pulled in a million directions. Hildegard seems to offer a really powerful antidote. She reminds us that the earth, our bodies, our minds, the divine, they aren't separate compartments. They're all part of one sacred, interconnected web.
Her wisdom really encourages us to look for the unity in things, doesn't it? To
Exactly.
find that underlying harmony, that vitality in a world that often emphasizes separation and division. Indeed, she teaches us that creativity and health and spirituality, they aren't separate paths you have to choose between. They're actually one unified, interconnected journey. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, her message seems crystal clear and incredibly timely for everyone listening now. Try to live in harmony with nature. Recognize the divine spark within all of creation. Nourish your soul through beauty, through music. Care for your physical body. See it as a sacred vessel. And importantly, never be afraid to speak your truth when you feel called to do so. She really shows us the power of living an integrated life.
Hildegard of Bingen, the mystic who saw the light in everything, even in what might have seemed like the darkest of times back then. And she had the courage to share that light. Her voice, carried somehow through all these centuries, it still whispers to us today, doesn't it? Inviting us into a deeper, more connected way of being. You know, she left us with this beautiful, and I think quite provocative thought, a kind of parting word that feels really personal, really empowering. You are a spark of the divine, shine brightly. Just think about that for a moment. How does her incredible story, her life, encourage you to seek out your own Viriditas, that greening power within you? And how might embracing that inner vitality empower you to speak your own truths, maybe find a bit more harmony in this wonderfully complex world we live in, just like she did? It's definitely a journey worth pondering, isn't it?